Hello world and welcome back. I'm Karhu, the Great Bear of the North, as you know, and this is my Ask Me Anything video for 1,000 subscribers. We're actually already at around 1850, so we're a little bit late to the party, but somebody that is not late to the party, someone that has been there since day one is... Whoop!
Hi there, everybody. I'm Mama Bear to this Karhu Bear, and it's his birthday today, so this is a celebration of a different kind for his birthday.
Yeah. Since it's my birthday, I figured who better to share it with than my mother, somebody that has been supportive of me since literally day one. It's just awesome. So she's got in a hat all of your questions. You're just going to draw them out and ask them one by one, and we'll see how it goes. Let's do this.
Okay, let's start. What makes Venice interesting to you?
Oh boy. Okay, Venice. Everybody, when they're talking about history, a lot of people know about England, they know about France, they know about Spain, but the specific Italian city-states tend to get overlooked. It's almost like we go from Rome and then we skip Italy altogether. But Venice is one of those just magical cities, combinations of I don't really know how to describe it. It's almost like a Disney World, right? Because there's no cars, everybody's just walking around, but it's still a fully functional city. You have people carrying around, you know, carts of iPhones and whatever through the streets of Venice, and it's amazing. They don't even have any horses there. It's just spectacular. It's actually also the first international city outside of Canada in the United States that I ever visited, so I guess it has something of a little bit of a
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia, thank you. Thank you. It's a throwback to an earlier time when people were people and men were men and women were women.
Okay.
No, in Venice's history, as you know from episode 1 of my Europa Universalis 4 Venice series, Venice's history is kind of crazy. They kind of stumbled into empire, and that just absolutely fascinated me. So yeah, that's why I like Venice.
Okay. Where did you get the idea of a format like that?
Combining history into Europa Universalis. To me, Europa Universalis isn't a game about taking over spaces on a board, even though that's a perfectly legitimate way of playing. It's, to me, anytime I take over a country, a province, a city in this game, I can't help but tell the stories of the people that are there. They're not just spaces on a game board to me. They're people with real histories, real stories, and real desires. So I can't, like I said, I just can't help but share their stories. So that's kind of where the idea came to me.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about being a teacher?
This is going to sound cheesy, but it's completely true. My favorite thing about being a teacher is that moment in time when a student goes from I can't do this to I can. Just that look in their eyes when they've mastered fractions or the periodic table or something that's actually really, really difficult, like advanced calculus, which I never actually mastered. But when somebody actually learns that they can do things, yeah, that's amazing.
White marshmallow or pink marshmallow?
I hate marshmallows.
That answers that.
The only time that marshmallows are acceptable is when they're roasted over an open flame. Or, and this is a cheap shout out, Greg's Ice Cream in Toronto at the corner of Bloor and Spadina, southwest corner there. Also, they have another location in the Distillery District, and no, they're not paying me for this. I just absolutely love them. They have a roasted marshmallow ice cream flavor, and it tastes exactly like legitimate roasted marshmallows. If you are ever in the city of Toronto, you must go to Greg's. I implore you. Just go. You will not regret it.
I went and I didn't regret it, so there you go. Another vote of confidence for Greg's.
But she likes real marshmallows, so what is she now?
Have you taken a look at Victoria 3 or Crusader Kings?
Yes, I have. And they're both decent games, but they're not quite my favorite. I might eventually play a series on Crusader Kings all the way up through Victoria and Hearts of Iron, maybe even. But that's a long time down the road. I've already got probably a good half dozen EU4 series that I want to get through first. But thank you very much for the suggestion.
Okay. What do you consider your favorite time period of history to be? And what are the historical events and characters you find most interesting?
I find all of history interesting. I I mean, that's a cop-out, but it's kind of true. But if I were to specialize in one area of history, it would definitely be the Italian Renaissance, just because everything was going on. You've got the Medici, you've got Venice, as I mentioned. You've got you've got the popes, both for good and for bad. You've got the wars of Reformation. You've got the Italian wars. You've got this blossoming of culture and art and literature and science and philosophy. And it's just, maybe this is just the historiography, the way that we portray it, but it just seems like it's one of those periods of time where everything just kind of starts happening all at once. And it's absolutely fascinating. And the more I read about it, the more I want to read about it. And to me, you can't ask for anything more in a period of history than that.
Okay. What is the meaning of Karhu?
What is the meaning of Karhu? Okay, a lot of people ask me this. No, I am not Finnish, but my grandmother is. And Karhu is Finnish for bear. Actually, I'm wearing a shirt that my wonderful mother got me in Finland on her recent travels there. Yeah, my grandmother is Finnish, and Karhu means bear. And in traditional Finnish mythology, the bear was also a protector spirit. And so I figured Karhu would be a great name for me and for this channel, simply because of that protector spirit, that link. It kind of protects me from being myself online and all the trolls and all the haters and all the negative comments and things like that. So yeah, it's just a protector. And I like bears. Can't go wrong with bears. Unless they're the Bruins. Ooh. That's a hockey reference, guys.
If you could change one event in history, what would it be?
I've been thinking about this for a week since I first saw this question. My first reaction is slavery. Just not specifically American slavery, not specifically Roman slavery, but just the idea of slavery in general. The idea that you can own another human being is so... I don't have a word that's strongly negative enough for it. Like, it's deplorable. It's anathema to everything I stand for, everything I try to stand for. So I would end that. Whoever was the first person to think that and spread that idea, I don't like that. But it's not just one person. That's the thing. It's a whole bunch of people think that they can do it, and it's been happening throughout history. It is unfortunately part of the human experience, and we need to change that. But other than that, the thing that I would most try to avoid, or the thing that I would most change about history is chemical weapons. Man, those things are detestable. Just indiscriminate killing of not just soldiers, but civilians and children and the elderly and people that want nothing to do with the war and animals that have nothing to do with the war. It's chemical weapons suck, guys. Ugh. Yeah, chemical weapons and slavery. That's the cheap cop-out, but it's true.
Okay, so you might have answered this, but what impact would this have made if those things had never happened?
If slavery hadn't been a thing, man, that's a big question. I really don't know. I know probably the initial intention of the question was like one specific moment in history, and I picked really, really big concepts. But I don't know what effect that would have. Hopefully we'd all be nicer to one another, we'd all love each other more, and we'd all be just less crappy people. Hopefully.
Okay. When did you first become interested in history and why?
That's a good question. I don't remember a time not being interested in history. Was there ever a time that you can remember that I wasn't interested in history?
Well, day one, perhaps not.
Day one. So on day two, I gained my interest in history. It actually might have been late on day one. No, as far as I can remember, I've always been interested in history. Not necessarily the history of our world. I think I first got into it through fantasy novels like Dragonlance and Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. And then I started learning about real history and started to realize that the real history of our planet, things that actually happened, are actually far more interesting and far crazier in scope than some of the things that happen in these fantasy novels. Simply because in a fantasy novel, to a certain extent, you need the reader to believe that it could happen, right? But in history, you don't need the person to believe it. It did happen. So, and that actually reminds me of a quick little story about Ridley Scott's Gladiator film. Ridley Scott wanted the main character, the main gladiator, to actually do kind of a sponsorship, a promo for an eatery in Rome, but he cut that scene out of the script because he didn't think that that viewers would believe that a gladiator 2000 years ago actually did these sponsored promos. But it totally happened. But you cut it from a quasi historical film because he didn't think that the viewers would actually believe the real history behind it. But yet the made up stuff, that's totally believable, but the real history, I don't buy it. It's just crazy and amazing. So that's the most amazing thing about history to me. But yeah.
Okay, do you ever wax your head?
No.
Okay. What is something in history that isn't taught right or not discussed that you think should be?
I have this discussion a lot, not just with history teachers or teachers in general, but just with regular people. And I mean absolutely no disrespect to the wonderful people out there that are teaching history, but I think we just don't teach history the right way. I remember going through history in high school, and I had some fantastic teachers in high school, please don't get me wrong. But the curriculum, the way it was based, and I can only speak for Ontario here, I can't speak for other jurisdictions, but the way that the curriculum is designed, a lot of people tend to think that it needs to be taught in terms of, we need to learn dates, we need to learn names, we need to learn about the politics of it. And that's not really what history is about. History is about the stories, and I think that's coming through in my Europa Universalis 4 series. I remember during my first practicum of Teachers College, I had to teach grade 7 and 8 Canadian history, and one of the things in grade 7 history was the 7 Years' War, also known as the French and Indian War if you're American, and the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. And I remember my students didn't care for learning about the Royal Proclamation of 1774 and the Quebec Act and whatever. But when we actually went outside and we reenacted the Battle of the Plains of Abraham and just the craziness of Montcalm running away to this feint, and then the English climbing up this hill and taking the Quebec City with basically not even firing a shot, and then having Quebec City's defensive lines when the French came back to retake the city that they had just lost by falling for the feint. My students remembered that. They remembered that story because they were there. They lived it. But talking about politics in 1774, most people don't care about politics in 2018. Why would they care about politics in 1774 with people they've never met, people they will never met, people they don't care about? So we're just teaching history in general wrong. And that's not, again, it's not about the teachers. It's about the expectations of the system. That's about the expectations of the system.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Who is your favorite wrestler, past and present?
This might sound like another cop-out answer, but it depends. It depends. Are we talking about from an entertainment perspective? Are we talking about from a pure in-ring perspective? Shawn Michaels, man. I guess I'm going to have to say the Heartbreak Kid. He could do it all. Still can do it all, even though he rarely wrestles. But yeah, she doesn't approve of the wrestling. You can see it on her face. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't get it, and most of you won't either. But those of you that do, you understand what it is. It's commedia dell'arte for the 21st century. It's fantastic. It's improvisational stage fighting in the round. It's spectacular stuff.
Okay.
She thinks I'm completely insane. She's probably right.
You've mentioned elsewhere that you only managed to incorporate a percentage of the total history-related content that you desired in your EU4 videos. If 100% was reached, what should we expect?
Okay, when I said that, I kind of meant two things. One, I didn't include all the actual history that I wanted to include in it, simply because, well, I didn't want it to be a 45-minute video. Maybe one day, if, I can actually support myself off of these videos, I will make a longer video about Renaissance history, just things like that. But I had to cut out a lot of stuff that I wanted to. But also, I also kind of meant the production aspect of it. I went into Adobe After Effects. I wanted to get, like, when I was talking about the different cities, I wanted to see like little flags pop out with like the line of St. Mark's just go whoop, as I was talking about each of them. But man, After Effects is complicated for a guy that doesn't have much artistic bent in his body. So I dropped a lot of that. So maybe one day you'll see the artistic vision that I wanted and the historical vision that I wanted. But today is not that day. All right.
Okay, somebody is asking, I think you've already partially answered that, but history, is it just an interest, or do you teach or study history?
All of the above. All of the above. I am a qualified history teacher in Ontario, although in university I did study anthropology and archaeology and linguistics. History was just a minor for me. But history is definitely an interest for me. And I don't study it formally. I haven't taken an actual history class in probably a decade, but I do also teach history course. So I really believe that you should be teaching the things that you are interested in, that you shouldn't be learning something just to teach it, because then your message doesn't get through, then your passion doesn't get through. A lot of you have commented very graciously, very complimentarily, I don't know, in a very nice manner. You've commented about how my passion for history comes through, and I do appreciate that. But that's what makes somebody a good teacher, if they are passionate about it. I've seen instances where you have math teachers teaching history, and that doesn't really work. They're great math teachers, they're great teachers, just history isn't their passion. And so I think that's unfortunate. But yeah, so all of the above.
Okay, our very last question.
Oh, really? Okay.
How did you become a teacher?
How did I become a teacher? Okay. I'm actually going to give a lot of credit to my ex-wife in this one. I know we didn't always get along, her and I, but she did help to inspire me to become a teacher, because she is also a teacher herself, biochemistry and Spanish. And she was just having a lot of fun with it. She was having a meaningful impact on her students' lives, meaningful interactions with her students. And I started coaching soccer poorly at her high school. I'll admit I probably shouldn't have been coaching soccer. Whatever, I was doing it. And just seeing that the respect that her students had for her, and more importantly, the respect that she had for her students, really inspired me. And a lot of people in her family are teachers. My brother is a teacher. His wife is a teacher. We have a lot of teachers on both sides.
All your great aunts were teachers.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain my daughter, both of her parents are teachers. I know her uncle and aunt on my side are teachers, and I think 4 of her cousins, her mother's cousins, are all teachers. So I just figured I enjoy talking about things. I enjoy interacting with people. I like seeing that moment when somebody goes, like I said, from I can't to I can. And that's how I became a teacher. In terms of the actual process of becoming a teacher, I do, complete my undergraduate degree in Ontario. They had to do a 1-year program then. It's now a 2-year additional program to become a teacher. But different jurisdictions will have different rules, so do not take my experience as gospel. Please look into your own situation if you do want to become a teacher. But that's all I've got on that. Thank you very much, everybody that has supported me in this. I'm still blown away at the response I've received from this. She thought I was crazy about doing this. Completely insane. She thought it was a waste of time. And it still might be a waste of time. I still haven't been monetized. I'm still not making any money. But I am having an impact on my viewers' lives. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. That's what matters. So thank you all very much for watching.
Bye.
Bye. We're not saying bye yet.
Oh, okay.
I just also want to publicly thank my mother for being so supportive of me, except for the YouTube stuff. Being so supportive.
And the wrestling.
And the wrestling. She doesn't get it. Whatever. She's from like the mid 20th century. She doesn't look it though. She's a lot older than she looks. Is that a compliment? I don't know if
That's a compliment.
That's a compliment. Okay.
Backhanded, but a compliment.
No. She's yeah. But she's fantastic, and I love her to bits. And thank you very much, Mom.
Oh, happy birthday, darling.
And with that, we will say bye.
Bye.
Ciao, everybody.
Okay, I get it. You should have taken the other one, Chris. Hi.
Shall I try that again?
Yes.